Pickle. Let's talk about the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Associated Press rankings. Dave Campbell's Texas Football unveiled its Week 11 statewide Texas high school football rankings on Monday on TexasFootball.com. The rankings are compiled by the Dave Campbell's Texas Football staff. DCTF has published the state's most respected Texas high school football rankings for decades and is the official rankings provider of the Associated Press since 2019. Weekly rankings are revealed live on Texas Football Today every Monday at 12:34 p.m. and 58 seconds. And complete rankings can be found at TexasFootball.com/rankings. So this is the penultimate week for small schools. Mm-hmm. We will do 4A. We'll do a 4A, 3A, 2A, 1A postseason rankings, and then we're done for them. They get frozen. We don't update rankings throughout the playoffs because the playoffs, they don't really matter, you know. We'll continue to do the private schools, and we'll continue to do 6A and 5A through the end of their regular season. But once they get to the playoffs, we'll freeze those as well. So this is the penultimate season, or penultimate one for those teams. Let's start the biggest classification, Class 6A. The same 25 teams comprise the 6A rankings, but there is a little bit of shifting. Denton Geyer escapes Prosper. They drop a couple of spots thanks in large part to really nice wins from Bridgeland and Cedar Hill, who jump into the top 10. Bridgeland, their 62-20 win over Cy Park, vaults them from 11 to number 9. Elsewhere, pretty chalky. Everything else relatively the same. San Antonio Johnson remains undefeated at number 25. They are after their big win over San Antonio Churchill. To 5A we go. 5A Division I is entirely chalky. Everybody was a winner or they did not play. Denton, Ryan, Highland Park, Lancaster, Cedar Park, Richmond, Foster, Manville, Longview, Lubbock, Coronado, Frisco, Lone Star, and Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial in the top 10. Highland Park and Longview 2 versus 7 this week. 5A Division II we go, where we got some movers, specifically the Huntsville Hornets. Big win over A&M Consolidated, vaults them from number 10 to the number 4 team in Dave Campbell's Texas Football. We do keep A&M Consolidated in the top 10. They dropped from 3 to 10, hanging on there. Still a believer in the Tigers, but I do want to see them bounce back here. Elsewhere, a lot of more or less unchanged. Fort Bend Marshall nudges into the top 3 at the number 3 spot with their big win over Houston Sharpstown. To 4A we go, 4A Division I, where we have a new entry into the top 10, which is a little bit rare. The Dumas Demons, their win over Canyon bumps Canyon out of the top 10, and they take their spot at number 10. Everyone else behind them bumps up a spot. Melissa, El Campo, Paris, Midlothian Heritage, and Waco La Vega, all winners, all move up a spot. Top 4 unchanged. Argyle and Passes, who got a scare from Canyon Lake.
Yes.
Port Lavaca, Calhoun, won via forfeit, and Corpus Christi, Cal Allen. By the way, this week, number 3 versus number 4. Calhoun versus Cal Allen. Get
Good
excited.
Stuff.
4A Division II we go, where some other changes as well. Into the top 10, number 9, Sealy. Their big win over Wharton moves them to 6-2. They leapfrog Glenrose, who loses to Grandview in a close one, 31-28. We don't penalize them too much because it's a non-district game. But a big mover here, Graham. Big winner over Mineral Wells. They are up 2 spots. Everything else more or less the same. To 3A we go. 3A Division I, where Hallettsville's big win over Columbus bumps Columbus out of the top 10. In their spot at number 10, the Vanderbilt Industrial Cobras, who beat Edna 38-14. Most everything is about the same. Pottsboro and Jim Ned switch spots. Pottsboro up to number 5. Jim Ned, who won via forfeit, they dropped to number 6, thanks on the strength of Pottsboro's win over Mount Vernon. Also, East Chambers up 2 spots from 8 to number 10, or number 10 to number 8. 3A Division II we go, where we have a little bit of shifting around. Number 4 Dangerfield loses 29-28 to Hooks. We keep them in the top 10, but that was a real conversation we had as to whether or not drop them. We end up keeping them in. A spot does open up because of Wascom's loss to Elysian Fields. That spot is taken by number 9 Holiday, who beats Wichita Falls City View 31-13. Most everything else exactly the same. Top 3 unchanged: Canadian, Gunner, and Poth. East Bernard up a spot to number 4. 2A we go. In Class 2A, a little bit of changes there at the bottom. The big mover there is Tempson. Tempson at number 8 vaults all the way to number 4 with their 63-0 win over Joaquin. They are almost certain to stay there because they are 10-0, the only 10-0 team in the state of Texas.
I was fixing to ask that.
The only 10-0 team at any level in the state of Texas is the Tempson Bears. Panhandle back into the top 10 with their win over Farwell. They take over at the number 10 spot. Normandy, just talked with their coach. They are up a spot to number 10 with their win over Centerville. Number 1 and number 2 unchanged. Top 3, I should say, unchanged. Poor Lindsay. Lindsay was idle. They ended up dropping spots because Timpson was so good. 2A Division 2 now, where chalk. Everybody's a winner, including March. 78-6 win over Bremont. My goodness gracious. Wheeler got a scare from Clarendon. They've got a big game this week against Wellington. Everything else unchanged. 1 through 10 not affected. To 6-man we go. The ranking compiled by our friend Granger Huntress of sixmanfootball.com, where 1A Division 1 is chalk. Everybody's a winner or idle. Top 5 unchanged. Sterling City, Borden County, Westbrook, Rankin, and May. Happy got a nice one over McLean, too. And to 1A Division 2 we go, where almost chalk. Groom and Richland Springs swap spots. They've been doing that all year long. Groom and Richland Springs 3 and 4. Jayton, Klondike, both leapfrog. Calvert, Jayton with their big win over Patton Springs moves to 8-1 on the year. Everything else more or less unchanged. To the private school ranks, where for once we got a little bit of change. The private school 11-man ranks, we have a new entry. Plano John Paul II, a hard luck loser to top-ranked Parish Episcopal. They end up dropping out of the rankings to make room for 5-0 Dallas Christian, who was previously unranked. They take down Tyler Grace Community 63-14. That is good enough to move them into the top 10. By the way, I believe Parish and Fort Worth Nolan were supposed to play this week. According to Joseph Hoyt at the Dallas Morning News, that game has been postponed. And in the 6-man ranks, unchanged. Only 2 teams played. Austin Veritas beat Round Rock Christian, and Bastard Tribe Consolidated took down Victoria Homeschool, unchanged in the top 5. You can find all these rankings at texasfootball.com/rankings.